We are into the holiday season. Lots of us are making our Christmas lists for big meals and lots of food we need to buy, and there are lots of hungry people who don't have that as an option. Steve Compton, the CEO with the Regina Food Bank, joins me now as we get even further into our Comfort and Joy campaign. Steve, what are you looking for when it comes to donations for the food bank?
Well, right now, what we're really encouraging with the public is if you can consider making a financial donation this time of year. What's in the Christmas hampers is different than the rest of the year in the sense that we're going out and buying fresh produce, meats, dairy, eggs, bread, fresh bread, and those aren't things you can easily throw in the bin at the grocery store, so to speak. So we're really hopeful that financial donation come, and it's also a matched campaign. I know we've been talking about it lots here this week, but with the potash quart till December 31st, up to 500,000 across the province.
We hear about that as far as cash donations go, and cash is king, and that there's charitable efficiency in giving a charity money over say canned goods. And is that something that you do encourage year round?
We do. When I first started the food bank 12 years ago, there's a lady that called me about the first 2 weeks I was there, and she said, I want to make a contribution, but I don't want any of it to go to anything that she was calling it overhead. And we had a good conversation. I said, well, you said one of the things would have been is if I hadn't had a little bit of overhead dollars, we wouldn't be talking on the phone right now, because the phone, the lights, the gas in the trucks, those kind of things. So sometimes when people think of overhead, I think they think of maybe waste or inefficiencies, those kind of things. But really, sometimes overhead is the people that do the work. It's the gas in the truck. And it allows us to, a dollar allows us to go and collect sometimes thousands of pounds of food as opposed to being able to buy a couple of pounds of food. So, I'm always glad to talk to people about that, because it's one thing with that article they were talking about what's better way to give. There's no bad way to give. It's just that different ways to give us different options.
Tell me more about some of the options you get when you have a cash donation versus just a tangible donation that way.
Yeah, we'll sometimes get calls from manufacturers or producer groups that if we're able to get a truck to their location, there might be a whole truckload of something. This week there's some oranges, which would be a good example with one of the wholesalers, and it allows us to roll that truck out as opposed to being able to buy that many boxes of oranges. Probably wouldn't have been within our reach. So sometimes when there's a financial contribution, it's things like that. And then there's times a year like this where we're buying items as well too. So we're putting meats, fresh produce, eggs, bread, all those type of things that we buy right before we're making the hampers because they need to be fresh, and it's not something that as a consumer you can just drop off in your grocery travels very easily.
Is there an example that you see as someone that works with the food bank of how this impacts the lives of people in our community who would otherwise go without?
Oh, definitely. I mentioned this one this morning, but I think I'll mention it again.
Absolutely.
There's a lady that came to the back door, dropped off a nice donation of canned goods and a little envelope. And she wanted to get going and just said thank you and could you please pass this along. And basically she'd been on the other end of it where she needed some help the year previous, and circumstances improved, and she made a point to come give back and pay it forward for somebody else that needed the same help. And it was Christmas time that she was referencing in particular, and so that support where we were able to provide a hamper and work with some of the community partners to provide some toys, it goes a long way.
It feels good to give. Good luck this Christmas season.
Thank you so much.